This just in. Old man argues with the trees. Well, maybe that's not quite right, but you will get the gist by the time this poetry discussion is done. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will appear in two different playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion playlist, and number two being the Robert Frost playlist. Both of these playlists growing ever faster, ever upward, ever onward. And the poem in question today is known as The Sound of Trees. Not The Sound of Silence, not The Sound of Silence by Disturbed, The Sound of Trees by Robert Frost. Considerably less growly, if that is possible, coming from Frost. The poem itself reads as such. I wonder about the trees. Why do we wish to bear forever the noise of these, more than another noise so close to our dwelling place? We suffer them by the day till we lose all measure of pace and fixity in our joys, and acquire a listening air. They are that stalk. They are that talks of going but never gets away, and that talks no less for knowing as it grows wiser and older, that now it means to stay. My feet tug at the floor, and my head sways to my shoulder sometimes when I watch trees sway from the window or the door. I shall set forth for somewhere. I shall make the reckless choice some day, when they are in voice and tossing so as to scare the white clouds over them. I shall have less to say, but I shall be gone. So, what we have here is our speaker saying, hey, I wonder about the trees. Certainly, that's a bit of a strange opening line, but goes on to elaborate, why do we like the sounds that come from the trees that kind of ruin what it is that we're getting ready to do, because they lull us into a type of complacency? These trees sort of always chattering about going somewhere, finding something out, doing something, but never do they do it. All the talk of going that but never gets away. So I wonder about those trees. And, if you listen to them too much, it just changes what you were going to do. It sets you off. Where are we here? And you will just get older all the while. You will just age and age and age, staring at the trees from your window or your door. I shall set forth somewhere. I shall make the reckless choice. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get out. I'm going to start going. And look, maybe that's not going to lead me to the best place, but I don't have a whole lot to say because, well, I won't be here. So I think when we're talking about this poem, it is the necessary question, obviously, with most poetry is what's the metaphor? Where's the turn, right? I think there's two glaringly obvious interpretations for this poem. One, the trees and that chatter, all of those leaves blowing in the wind that distract you and keep you complacent in your day-to-day life, all of that natural melodrama, perhaps. All of that keeps you rooted right where you are. Stops you from going out and making those big changes in your life. Those trees, that sound of the leaves in the breeze, is that your subconscious. Think of headspace. Where's your headspace? Where's my mind at? Hardly ever does anyone project their mind onto the ground. When you think of headspace, the lumen, if you were to draw a picture of your headspace, almost undoubtedly it would be casted up somewhere. Okay, great. But that's where the trees are, too. This space above, this idea of the lumen, this idea of the space where my thoughts go. If this poem is using the trees and their chatter as a stand-in for the subconscious, this is to say that we are self-defeating, that our complacency comes from within. Once we're in a place where we don't have to be hungry, once we're in a place where we don't have to be striving in those sort of primordial ways, looking for the next adventure, once we're in that place in life where the next adventure is not necessitated, we're paid enough, we eat enough, we've got air conditioning. Once we're in that place with the trees overhead, right? We will talk ourselves out of everything. The speaker here is saying, I refuse. I'm going to find the next adventure. I'm going to find the next chapter of life. I'm going to seek it out. But what if we're not talking about the subconscious? What if the trees here, we're not worried as much about the leaves and that chatter and that luminary space where the mind is projected? What if we're not worried about that part as much as the roots? Kind of what is insinuated here, not the space where the trees make that noise. We're talking about the trees in general. I'm beginning to question trees. I'm beginning to question trees because I am going to go out. I am going to find that next adventure. I'm going to go out and find the next chapter. And if I'm not going to find it, by God, I'm going to write it. The trees will not. I know the trees will not leave. Well, that doesn't sound like the headspace at all, does it? That makes it sound like the trees are representing other people. That makes it sound like the trees are the other. The trees are community. The trees, I think, perhaps most fittingly, would be the community. Because the community is comprised of the people that are in a specific place. We have digital and online communities now, but that wasn't always the case. It would be the people who were rooted in one particular geography. I think that really, if we're going to be specific about things, we can take a step back and be unspecific first. I said, hey, at the beginning of this discussion, do we think that this poem about the trees and them never leaving and the noises they make and why do we hold them so dear, is this about the lumen? Is this about the headspace, the subconscious, or is it about the community? Is it about the people that live around you that are rooted and will never leave? I think perhaps the true answer is somewhere in between. What if our speaker here is acknowledging the fact that your headspace, where the leaves of the trees are making that noise, that luminary area, what if that space is so clearly defined by the community in which you find yourself? In fact, wouldn't those both be the answer if your argument was, I, in order to be myself, have to leave this place. Because the headspace that is ever present here is made by those people who will never leave here. I think the answer here is both. The metaphor of the trees does mean the subconscious. The metaphor of the trees does mean the community, because they're one and the same. If we're going to be going with a Jungian type of nomenclature, the trees represent the collective unconscious. Or is it subconscious? I'm blanking on the word right now, but you know what I mean. The collective subconscious. That is what the tree, unconscious, whatever it is, you can Google it. That's what the trees represent. This idea that there is a mass headspace between people, perhaps especially between people in a particular geography. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, this literature is the only thing that I talk about on this channel, and I hope to have you back for the next one.